All right. All right, let's get rolling. We got a few people who are jumping on. Hold on. Let me keep talking to people. Put you on hold. You'll come back. Promise. Too much control. Hey, Audra, I appreciate you joining me today. Really, I got one objective, right? I know your team is still rocking and rolling in business a little bit. So explain to me, here's what we're hearing. Top people are going out there and they're putting deals, they're getting listings, and they're working through this. And then we have a whole nother group that just kind of threw their hands up in the air and going, I'll wait for this to be over. So in a quick, just little synopsis, give us the mindset you're approaching and your approach with your team as you go through this pandemic crisis type of environment we're in.
Well, so, in the beginning, we made changes and we adjusted, but we did not stop what we're doing. And I'll be honest, my phone also didn't stop ringing. We still had all these listings that of people that we had a responsibility to. So we had to figure out a way to service them and to make sure that they were taken care of at a high level. So we had to adjust. We adjusted our listing presentation. We adjusted our buyer's presentation. We adjusted our communication and how we're doing it. Now, we were already set up a lot online as well. We were already doing Zoom calls with people. We were already, with people that we transfer in and out of Houston and stuff. We already did Zoom calls with the team. The realtors would get on a call and we could see each other's faces because it was important for us to script practice, hang out, have a conversation with each other, and make sure we're hitting our goals on a regular basis. What we did not do was we did not start circling the wagon and say, okay, we got to change our goals. We're not doing that right now. People need to buy or sell a house. And I'm going to tell you right now, not one person has come to me and said, I've lost my job and I need to sell. Not one person has said that. Every single person that's looking to buy, I worked with another buyer this morning and basically he was like, my lease is up in July. I want to buy a house. This is where I've already been pre-approved. Let's go shopping. They're super excited. Both of them have jobs. They're working differently. One of them's in the office twice a week. The other one's a teacher and Zooming all day at home. But that's their new normal. And everybody has accepted that because that's what we've had to do, right? And we have to do that the same as realtors. So all the different realtors that I'm talking to, some of them are still kind of operating scared, and some of them are operating at a really high level, and some are kind of like trying to figure out what to do, right? Well, I feel like if you're an excuse, this is not an easy business, regardless if there's a pandemic or not, okay? It's a hard business, and you're either gonna use this as an excuse to not go forward, because you've already got you used another excuse in January, and you used another excuse in February. And now in March, this was your excuse not to do your business. And there was a quote about that right there that they said on the Pivot call today that James Shaw said, and this was really good and I wanted to share it with everybody. If you're making the decision to ignore the 40 contacts per day, then you're making the decision to donate business to other people. So if you're scared to make your calls, if you're not willing to make your calls, if you're not in the market to do business, then somebody else is. And they're going to take your market share. And our team has been like that. We've got our 10-10-10, we've got our 40 contacts, we've got different things that we're doing. We've got our listings that we have to take care of. And let me tell you, we're getting offers on our listings. There are realtors out there. Realtors are asking us to do things a little bit differently. Sometimes I say yes, sometimes I say no. It depends on the request. And that's just how we've been kind of motivating each person on our team. I mean, our staff is swamped. The other night, our director of operations was working until Monday night until like 7:15. Wow. Because we had so much coming in. People were like, hey, we want to put an offer here. Hey, we want to buy a house here. Hey, we want to do this here. And you may think it's easy because the business is coming in, but it's not coming in because I'm a top producer and that all these things. It's because I've been out there and making phone calls. Everybody has. Everybody's been out there making phone calls. Everybody has a need. Someone's looking for a realtor. It's either going to be you or it's going to be somebody else.
Yeah. Well, let's talk a little bit about your numbers. What's your business right now compared to last year to date?
Okay, so I did not actually pull that up. I know you told me to. Hold on one second. Let me get my account.
Well, while you're looking for it, I love what you're saying on the message. Last week in our area, that's April 27th to May 3rd, in our direct area, there were 289 properties that went under contract.
Wow.
So the opportunity in our area is right there. And what sold was 236 in the last week. So when people say, oh, there's just not that much business. Oh, there's business. It's just going to somebody else. That's your message that you just shared right there.
Absolutely it is. You know, our GCI is a little bit different than last year. Mike and I were actually examining that, and he's fixing to bring the report again. But and we were really going down and examining. Our GCI is kind of changed and different, but we also changed how we started the year. You know, we did our business plan in October. We started executing our business plan in November. None of that changed. So that also started us with a great December and January that was year to date way better than the previous year because we didn't start our year the same way. Which is kind of, you know, catapulted us. And then when this hit, we didn't change. We still had to be in the market. We still had to answer phone calls. Yeah, we were doing it from home or from a Zoom meeting, but we still had to make those phone calls. So our numbers continued to grow from that because we were letting people know that we were here to answer phone calls. So our numbers, hold on, he's gonna answer me right here.
Well, you made an observation is you were more prepared to handle a crisis or something this year than you were last year. If last year was hit, but this year you set yourself up. It revealed that you had a healthier business this year than you did previous year.
I agree with that. Now, I think that all the things that we have in place, I would have been okay, but I would have been a little bit more concerned and I wouldn't have gone into it with as big of a smile because I did not hit that. I did not have the business in January and February to carry us through March and the unknown. I will say everything in March closed that was supposed to close and everything in April closed that was supposed to close. And so far our May closings are hitting the mark too. So our 2019 volume through April, so January to April, were 8.3 million in 2019. And in 2020, our January through April was 14.4 million.
Wow.
And transactions, we had 30 in 2019 through April. And in 2020, we've had 45.
Wow. Okay.
So we've definitely expanded it. And what's interesting is our team is actually a smidgen smaller, but way more effective.
Efficient, yeah. You honed in on your people and your systems. Yeah.
Yes, our system and the people working. And if you're going to be on our team, this is the deal. Every single position is completely important. It doesn't matter what the position is because the team doesn't work unless every single position is operating at its highest level. Our realtors,
just keep going. We got kids in every Zoom call, so keep working through it.
We got dogs, collars, and like, take the dogs off.
That's life right now.
Yeah. You know, every single person is operating at a high level. Every single person is doing what they need to do in order to accomplish their own personal goals. Because that's where we started it with. It was like, here's our team goals and here's your personal goal. You just need to stay focused on that. And you need to make your phone calls in order to get to that level. And if you're not willing to do that, then you're not going to hit your personal goal. You know, and so, I mean, we stay really highly focused on that, especially our realtors. I mean, they're very committed to hitting their numbers.
Yeah. All right, go back to a little bit. You said you've been making your phone calls. What do those sound like right now? Just give us an transparent, authentic. What do your phone calls sound like?
So it depends on who we're calling, right? So we have this thing called 10-10-10. We do a little bit of social media. We do some private messaging, and then we follow that up with another layer of calling our database. And when with those database calls, it's, you know, hey, how's it going? What's going on in your world? How's your business? How are things? We have a lot of friends that are business owners. We have a lot of people that are out of work. You know, yesterday I got my nails done. I was sitting there talking to the nail lady about her business and when she can open again. It was before they announced that it would be open on Friday, and, you know, having a real conversation with her about that and her business, what's going on with it. And then in that conversation, she was like, I think my neighbor needs to sell. You know, I mean, it's just, you got to be out in the market and talking to people. You're not necessarily asking for business if it's not the right person to ask business from, but you need to come from a place of true concern and understand what they're going through. Some people are like me and they're like, okay, I'm done. I'm ready to have a party again. And, you know, of course I'm going to be careful and we're not taking advantage of, you know, our freedom, right? But at the same time, we have to have some sort of normalcy going on, especially without the children going to school. So we're trying to create that in our own world, and we're trying to let other people know this is what I've chosen to do for my family. So share with me what you're planning to do with your family. You know, and there's no judgment. If you don't want to go anywhere and you want to stay home for another 2 months, that's okay.
Sure.
There's no shame in that. And if the business that you work for doesn't agree with you and you want to come back to work, then you have to find that balance and figure out what's going to be right for your family. Because I think all employers are being very lenient on that. But we need to find out what they're willing to do. I mean, as y'all learned over the last week that we've had restaurants open to us, they were not busy, in case y'all didn't notice, until last night. Like 5 Mexican restaurants around my house ran out of Mexican food, weren't taking orders anymore, and they were tapped out. They definitely had a huge number of sales last night. So I think that was a huge rush for people to start coming out again at a safe number and a comfortable level with their own families, you know?
So I'm hearing in there a lot of things that we've already heard. We heard service before the sale, right? A genuine concern and knowledge, and eliminate. How much of your consumers are you hearing a little bit of fear? I don't know if I want to put my house on the market or sell right now. And how do you walk somebody through? Because as we know, media is telling us 10 different stories. You're more confused than ever. How are you educating them in real estate and eliminating the fear and panic they might have?
Absolutely. So I just took a virtual listing appointment the other day, and it was completely virtual. They walked around the house. I also saw pictures from an old listing, and, you know, we kind of went through the motions on it. And she was like, look, I don't want anybody in my house. I don't know, you know, what we're going to do. And I said, don't worry about it. This is exactly what we're going to do. Now, thank goodness that she's actually leaving. So she's going to another state. She's buying a house. She's going to move out in 30 days, and then I'm going to sell the house. So we put a plan together for that. But most people that want to sell, this is the deal. Everybody's got this misconception of what's going on in the market in their head. That's why you have to talk to people. You have to let them know that our market is doing good. You know, an article came out that said there was another state that, you know, they had dropped in their Zillow pool. Austin has gone up about 26%, and Houston has gone up 53%. Okay, so those are huge numbers. We are operating as close as we can is to business as usual, as long as the realtor and the seller and the buyer have the right information in order to finish the transaction. Okay, you're asking different questions, you're having different conversations with people, especially about their finances. You're going deeper on that because of what we're learning from the finance world. But on the real estate side, you have to create a plan, a special plan for every single seller that you have. You need to let them know that people are in the market, there are buyers out there. I had a pregnant lady looking the other day, and she wasn't even wearing a mask and gloves, and she's just looking at houses. She's like, I need a house before this baby comes out. And you get her a house is what you do. You know, she needs a home because she needs somewhere to have that baby. Okay, so so you have a special plan for each person. You tell them how the market is, you tell them what the expectations are, and you tell them exactly how it's going to work. Each one of you have a different plan of how you're going to sell a house. You need to make it customized to that person to alleviate all of their fears.
Yeah. It's business as usual, yet in a unique way, right? That's, you're doing it uniquely. So let me ask you this question. As the good old days, right? Of the way that we did things. So I'm struggling a little bit with my connection. Hopefully it doesn't cut out on me. So here's the question. How is business going to look different moving after this is over, light gets turned back on? What changes are going to be permanent?
So what changes are going to be permanent? So that's a twofold question because, you know, in my little crystal ball, I think that we haven't seen the fallout from the pandemic yet. I think that these big companies are going to use this time to reorganize. People are going to lose their jobs. We are going to have foreclosures and, you know, short sales in our market. We are going to be dealing with it. I don't think it's going to be as a high level as some of the other parts of the country. However, we are going to have some fallout from it. We're going to have to be there to help those people too, because those people need a realtor. You know, I always, you know, I come from the restaurant business, and so I always kind of give that example of, you know, what was really great about the restaurant business is people drink at the bar when they're happy and celebrating, and people also drink at the bar when they lose their job. So Same thing with real estate is they need a realtor during the good times and the bad times. And you've got to learn how to be there during the bad times, because even though we haven't had as many of them in the last 5-6 years, we might have more than we normally had, and you need to be there to understand that. So that might be our new normal for the next 1, 2, or 3 years. At the same time, we're still going to have the other people that are like right now are buying their move up, move down house, or I want to downsize because, you know, I'm retiring or whatever it is. People's lives are still going to go on, and people need a place to live. So we are still realtors, and we're still going to operate as realtors. And every single person's situation is different right now. It was different last year, and it's going to be different next year. So you've got to be the realtor who understands how to work them through their problems and through the transaction, through whatever they're going through. So that's the new normal, is being understanding and not turning things away because it's too hard for you. You learn how to do it, and you become the right realtor, and you do your job right. And just remember, as long as you're an honest realtor and you do your job correctly, you will reap the reward, even if it's a bad situation.
Good stuff. Okay. I didn't set you up this one. I'm going to make a pivot. Coming soon. I've already seen you thrown some things in the HR coming soon. You do like coming soon. Oh, and by the way, people like to report you because you are a top producer.
I know.
Congratulations. So
you tell them exactly what you think I would tell them.
Well, I see that you're still using that feature, right? Because coming soon is something that you took advantage of. I think we've had like 6 or 8 as the office, and I saw a couple of them were yours already.
Putting 3 more on today.
Okay, on the coming soon.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. So it's still a strategic part of your message. You are complying by the rules of the coming soon. Any other thoughts on the coming soon?
You know, this is the part about the coming soon that I really don't like. And I'll start with that part, is that the amount of information that we have to put in there, because this is what I'm struggling with. You know, I go to a listing appointment, and if the house is not like ready to rock and roll, which, you know, they're only about 10% of them are, you know, they call me in to say, okay, what do I need to do to sell? You know, one of the things is you never want to tell a buyer to do things to their house that you can't get back. Okay. You don't want somebody to say, you know, people always want like an as-is price, and what if I do this price, right? What if I paint the house? What if I change the countertops? Those are very expensive things. So you don't ever want to tell someone to do something like that unless you know you can get that money back, right? That's number one. Number two is we might say, you know what, let's call the contractor, let's sign the listing agreement, let's figure out how much all these things are, let's figure out how much it's going to cost to get these things updated. And if you can still sell the house for this number once we run that final comp, then we'll figure out where that number is. Okay. Well, now I have to put the price in there, and I have to put all these details into the coming soon, which once we do the repairs, we might change our mind and say, you know what, we're not going to put carpet in that room, or we're not going to do whatever. And if we don't do that, well, we might not sell the house for $495. We might sell it for $485. So now it looks like I've had a price reduction. So we're trying to wrap our heads around if it looks like a price reduction, if it was one price and coming soon, and then we change it to another one, and if the MLS will change it. That's a little frustrating. Yeah. And we're trying to wrap our heads around that. And I may not know all the rules on that, because today was the day I was going to do a little bit of learning. But, you know, we're very careful with our coming soon signs. We have not actually been putting the coming soon tag on them anymore. We are making up a new writer that says something else. So, okay. But we are using that 14 days to market our properties. And we just have to get very, very intentional with our dates, which we kind of did before as well, but it was looser. We didn't have to stick to those dates quite as strict with the 14 days, because now I've got a sign in the yard, but then if it goes in withdrawn, do I got to go pick up the sign? Because I need 3 more days before it goes live because the seller, you know, was backed up because the carpet people were 2 days late. That's the kind of stuff that's getting a little tricky. Other than that, you know, we're, from my understanding, you're allowed to put the sign outside. You're allowed to have conversations and tell people details. You are allowed to market it on social media and any other source that you choose to, as long as it's in the coming soon status in the MLS.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
All right. Correct. Well, if the post is still there, but it's still in withdrawn, you know, as long as there's no post done after that 14-day mark, if it goes back into withdrawn, that's where it gets a little sticky. The trigger is that nobody's allowed to see the house.
Correct. Cannot show it.
But
even with your team, Audra, even with your team.
What if the seller shows it? I can't stop the seller inviting somebody in for coffee. And, you know, and maybe it's, you know, my husband. Wait, he's a realtor too.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
I'm just kidding. I will find a way around it. Mark my words.
Well, it's unfortunate because here's our take to it. We will comply to it because we're a member of the MLS. And two is it was a goofy rule, set up a bunch of real estate fighters. And we have right now, you know, what concerns me is Open Door has moved into our market and has 3% market share. And why that doesn't scare everyone, and we're over here fighting over group team coming soon. And our threat is coming from the outside. It's the Zillows, it's the Open Door, it's the Rocket Mortgage. And that's my frustration because I want to protect the real estate business and we get too busy policing ourselves and not looking from the threat for the outside.
Well, I agree with that. But at the same time, I will say with those people right now as well, you know, maybe foreclosures, you know, the foreclosures and the people that are in trouble, they might take some of that market share, you know, going forward. But I think that the real estate agent, the relationship and the referral to get the job done at a really high level will make a difference easier now. If we can talk about a good thing that's come out of this is that relationship will make it easier than having someone sell their house with Open Door. And you know, in my particular farm, you know, one house did sell to Zillow and it sold for way under market rate, and negotiating the other two that I had in that one section was very hard. And I will say that the word is out. If you sell it to one of these companies, it is bringing our market share. It is bringing our price per square foot down. You need to be careful. And the thing about the people that live in these farms is they don't move far. So they don't want to sell this house for nothing because they're just moving around the corner and they don't want it to happen over there.
Well, you're talking about a fiduciary, right? That's a word we don't use anymore. But what you just talked about, where's the fiduciary? And what you're talking about, property value, getting the most for their home and walking them through, is the relationship fiduciary that we have to protect. And if we don't get out there and talk to people and have authentic, transparent conversations, that's what allows the threat to come in.
Agreed. And I agree. And, you know, and people just don't know. And so, you know, I just try to tell as many people in my world that, you know, if you're going to call one of those companies, just call me first. It's a free consultation. All you have to do, and I will tell you the difference. It's part of our presentation. We have a whole like thing that we can pull out and show you that if this is what you want, this is what you're going to get. But if this is what you want, this is what it costs and how we can get it for you, you know? And you've got to be the voice of reason, and don't be scared of the conversation, because I think that's the biggest thing. People are scared. Realtors are scared of the conversation because they don't understand it. So wrap your head around it, understand it, and know that it's competition, and you've got to be able to talk about it with consumer. Yeah.
Okay, great. One final thought. Those are good, all great stuff. What's your one final thought for the group? Got 80, almost to 90 people on the call. What would you pass to them that they should take away from you during this time?
Don't use this time as an excuse. Don't do it. You know, use it as an opportunity to change what wasn't working in your business or your world. And if it's not working or it wasn't working, go and have a conversation with Chad. Go get a MAPS coach. Go do something to change your world so that you can succeed. You know, people, you know, are in real estate for 100 different reasons. It's not the main income for some people. Some people it's for fun. It's okay. There's no wrong way to do real estate. But if you're going to do it and you're doing it at a high level and this is how you pay your bills, okay, put yourself on a plan where you're going to succeed and not fail. And don't use the COVID-19 situation, pandemic, whatever you want to call it, as an excuse. Don't do it. And I mean, I'm still working 14-hour days. I still have my regular day off, and I went and got all my stuff done yesterday. Tuesday's my day off. I was so tired when I came home, not this Sunday, but last Sunday. I was in bed by 8 o'clock because I showed so many houses and had so many conversations with people. Yeah. And I mean, I'm working 14-hour days. That's normal for a realtor. So I'm back on my regular schedule. Now,
you got to get up and go to work, and they are long days, and they are emotionally draining and physically draining. Let's call it what it is right now. Yes.
We're realtors. That's what it is. Yeah. You know, you have to find that life balance. And you know, I have been extremely fortunate to have such a great team, because it's not me of why we are, you know, like our GCI, I guess Mike just sent it to me, like up to April, we were at 195 in GCI. And this April, we ended it with 300, or right now we're at 397 in GCI. It's no joke that that's happening because we've been sitting around waiting for COVID-19 to pass. It's because we're taking advantage of the opportunity and we just got up to do our jobs. And it's not just me, it's my team, and they are amazing. And all of them have stepped up, every single one of them, to get through this, through their personal life, what's going on with their own families, and to keep taking care of the people that we promised to take care of.
Yeah, good stuff. Okay, that's all I got from you. Audra, that was awesome. Thank you so much for jumping on. Your team matters, right? Absolutely. The question is, when you have 8 players, how much your life changes on your team. So great job, peoples and systems. Okay, thank you, Audra.
All right, thanks.
Have a great day. Take care of those dogs.
Yeah, bye.
Okay, bye. All right, I hope you heard out of that conversation the power of your mindset. I hope you hear the power of it, right? It's survive and thrive, and you got to do both right now. All right, I'm pausing just a little bit because I need to get Norman on the call. That way he can jump on and show a little bit of a video. So of course I don't have him here. Hold on just a second. Bear with me. What I wanted to do is show you a little bit of a video of something that Gary Keller did on the call. That way he can do it. I'm just going to admit all of you guys and just throw you on. So bear with me a little bit. All right, Norman, are you on? Norman, are you there? Norman's going to show a quick video. Not quick. It's going to be a little bit of video. It's going to run about 20 minutes. Bear with it. It's Gary Keller interviewing Keith Cunningham, and he's an author that wrote a couple of great books. One of them that I love is called The Road Less Stupid, and he just has a very transparent conversation on what's going on in our industry, just not our industry, in the world. We're in a crisis, right? I hope you heard that. It's a pandemic. It's a crisis. The light's not turning on anytime soon. This is going to impact us for a while. Norman, are you there?
Yeah.
Okay, bear with me. Okay, Norman, kick that video on if you would, please. You got it?
Got it.
Okay, perfect. Bear with me a little bit. Great video. We're going to watch it for about 20 minutes. Take away some good takeaways, and I'll tell Norman when to stop it. Okay, go, Norman.
Can you all see the screen?
No.
Oh,
this is supposed to be a smoother transition. Bear with us. We're learning how to do Zoom. All right, here you go.
You okay? You look good.
Doing great. Thank you.
It's good to see you this morning. You look good. I'd love for you just to tell us just a second about yourself.
So I've been in Austin 51 years. I'm not 51 years old, which means I wasn't born here, but I got here as quick as I could. I came to school here in 1968 and stayed. I'm a business guy.
You went to UT. You went to UT and you got an MBA in accounting, right?
I did. I got an MBA. I got a degree in accounting, MBA in finance. And have actually went to work early on with 2 guys that became my mentors, a guy named Bob Hughes and Jack Crosby. Yep. And they were my mentors, and we were in the cable television business. And unfortunately, I morphed out of that into real estate in the mid 1980s, and that was good while it lasted, and then it didn't last long enough, and then it got really ugly. So over the years, I've bought and sold and financed and turned around and owned businesses. And at this point, I spend the majority of my time in the teaching world. I write books and teach business owners business skills and tools. Help business people make the transition from operator to owner.
Yes. Well, Keys to the Vault is a book that in my masterminds annually I recommend to everybody. So a lot of people on this call will be familiar with that book. And in your most recent book, The Road Less Stupid, of course, is also a must-read for anybody. So first, I just want to say thank you for all you do. You've been a voice of reason and insight around running a business for so long. that in my mind, you're probably one of the most significant voices of our time. So thank you for that. Thank you. So let's just talk. We're in a crisis. And you've, as you always are, you have been quick to draw your observations and share those. So when you're in a crisis, so let's just take this time to talk about this. So in a crisis, how am I supposed to think? What give me the just overview of your thoughts of I'm in a crisis.
So probably thought number one is that there's a requirement in a crisis to shift priorities. In normal times, the priorities typically are strategic. They're very growth oriented. They are opportunistic. For most people in most crises, the idea has to shift from being strategic to being tactical. In a crisis, there's only two priorities. And the two priorities are number one, survive, and number two, stabilize. Survival requires cash. The instant you run out of cash, you've run out of oxygen. And stabilize requires cash flow. So the instant you can get to cash neutral, which means that you stop burning your dry powder, and simultaneous, that's survive, don't run out of cash, and stabilize is, let me get the amount of cash coming in aligned with the amount of cash going out. And normally, that requires some sort of cut. There's a great story, and everybody knows this story from a couple years ago. In 2017, there was a junior varsity soccer coach in Thailand that took his 12 teenage kids, his players, on a hiking expedition into some caves, and just outside of the main city in Thailand.
Did we lose sound?
The snacks they picked up was the equivalent of 4 peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. So they get into the cave, it starts to rain. The rain that causes the water level to rise. It blocks the entrances and the exits. Everybody was following this world news. And they were in the cave 12 days before they were discovered, and 18 days before they were actually rescued. The rescue effort was huge. There were 10,000 people involved, 700 divers, 2,000 soldiers. So it was a major expedition, and most people remember it. Here's the remarkable part of the story. At the end of 18 days, these 12 teenage boys still had 1.5 peanut butter and jelly sandwiches left. So the moral of the story is, if you don't know how long a crisis is going to last, you better make sure you can stretch what you do have as long as possible. I'll say that a different way. I'll put it on a bumper sticker. Current expenses consume future oxygen. Current expenses consume future oxygen. And I think the mistake people make when there's a crisis, and this crisis is unlike any crisis we've ever had before. That's right. And the reason is because it's not just an economic crisis. It's going to be a how you actually do business crisis. That's right. It's not gonna just bounce back to the way it used to look. And so how you do what you do makes this one unique. And my experience is, Gary, that most people are too optimistic about either the length of the recovery or what it's going to look like post-recovery.
They're hopeful, aren't they? They're not using reasoning. They're not actually looking at the situation. They're more hopeful than honest.
Look, what what you just said about being honest with the situation, I think is critical. A great example might be the Titanic. The original plan of every passenger on the Titanic was to get from England to the United States, and that plan radically changed the instant they hit the iceberg. And after the iceberg, there wasn't one person on the Titanic who was thinking about what they were going to have for dinner or what dress they were going to wear to the gala once they got to New York. So the change in priorities was dramatic because of the radical change in circumstances. And what I'm seeing over and over again is there's a lot of people that are cursing the iceberg, or they're screaming at the captain of the ship. And the reality is neither one of those stop the boat from sinking or ensure your safety and survival. So this wishful, hopeful thinking, relying on the law of attraction, is insane. Only mentally unstable people walk out of their front door in the middle of a Cat 5 hurricane and curse the wind. So the key is you gotta face reality and play the hand you've been dealt if you expect to survive.
What mistakes do you think that people make right now? What are the one or two mistakes that you just see that people make?
You know what? I think there's a mistake of business as usual. So maybe an example on this would be an emergency room in a hospital. If you think about an emergency room in a hospital, there's huge amounts of level of intensity. There is a sense of urgency, a high degree of flexibility, and in terms of how people are approaching the problem. There is precise execution. Speed is your friend. There's constant in an emergency room. There's constant monitoring of vital signs. So think about an emergency room. In an emergency room, nobody's monitoring your BMI or your cholesterol. And the reason is because that stuff doesn't kill you. In an emergency room, they're monitoring the vital signs. And the vital signs are things like cash and cash flow and aligning expenses and cash coming in and revenue. All of that kind of stuff is the stuff that causes businesses to survive. And look, a lot of businesses had an underlying financial health condition before this whole crisis started. So they're more at risk than people who entered into this crisis healthy. It doesn't mean you can't get sick, but your odds of dying go down if you ran your business. Somebody told me years ago, they said, Keith, how you run your business during the good times dictates how well you'll survive the bad times.
That's exactly right.
And I think there's a lot of people that ran their businesses a little sloppy. They got out over the tips of their skis. They were a little chubby. They were out of shape financially. They'd taken on a little bit too much debt trying to get lucky. Their expenses weren't tight. And so as a result, now all of a sudden there's a meteor that hit Earth. That's the way I view this. It's like an asteroid hit Earth, and all of a sudden there's this giant unexpected problem. It doesn't mean there isn't a problem. It just means that business as usual is not the solution.
Yeah, people thought they had time. One of the things I observe over and over again is people, they project out that I've got plenty of time, and this exposes that, doesn't it? You never know how much time you have.
I think that's right. Look, a lot of people were aware that we were towards the end of one of the longest bull markets in history, that the economy had done well, that the politics were aligned around supporting business, and I think people thought they had kind of until the end of the year to figure out, you know, their finances. And the reality is they weren't prepared for a sudden jolt to the system. And it's a lesson, candidly, that I had to learn the hard way 30 years ago, when you and I both remember the 1980s and all of the drama around that. And I learned then that creating wealth is typically a slow and plodding kind of exercise. Losing money can happen in a heartbeat. But what it takes to actually create money requires and create wealth is figuring out how to make it sustainable. You know, I tell people all the time, look, I don't want to be rich for a day. I don't want to be in a great relationship for a week. What's required is, how do I need to think about this so that it's sustainable and I'm not yo-yoing back and forth between rich and poor?
Well, that's right. The thing that I constantly preach is that there's two types of people: those who get where they are and those that don't. And those that don't get where they are end up playing one game, and those that get where they are play an entirely different. You know, they understand it. They realize something is happening that they can't control, but they can absolutely do whatever they can. Let me ask you a question. Talk to me about people for just a second, Keith. How should I be thinking about the people that might be working in my business right now?
Well, it depends, as you might expect that answer. For most of us, our people are our greatest asset. Our people sometimes are also our greatest anchor. I ask the question frequently to business owners: how many of your current problems would go away if 100% of your team was A players? And what most people tell me is the bulk of their problems go away if they've got all A players. I think in a crisis, the critical thing to do is to cut the fat, muscle if you need to, but avoid cutting the bone. If you cut the bone, you're going to limp for a long, long time. And the bone, to me, is who are the people that are going to be required to restart the engine. So the people, the bone is not necessarily the race car driver, although they're the ones that get all the headlines. The bone is the people that can actually build the engine and start the engine once this is over. So I think that
Norman, would you shut that off for me? Okay, fantastic. All right, I'm going to send that out to you. I could listen to that all day. That is a powerful video. I just wanted to give you a little bit of glimpse in there. I hope you heard Audra's team in there as well, right? The question was, how many of your problems would go away if you had 100% A players? Ooh, by the way, that includes your relationship with mortgage. That includes your relationship with title. That includes your relationship with vendors and partners, electricity, right? That includes all those different pieces of, are you partnering with A players as well? And yet, here's a couple things that I wrote down as a note. That's the second time I've listened to that video, and I'll go back and listen to it as well. We always say hope is not a strategy. I hope you don't go, oh, I hope this gets over and I get back to business. It's never going to look the same. Make no doubt about it. We're in a crisis. This is interesting. So be honest, right? Face reality and play the card that you were dealt. And that's what I want you guys to take away. And yet there's so much opportunity. So I want to just jump around and go. We're going to start with mortgage with James here. I see you're listed as Dale, but we know you do not look like Dale. So give us a little bit. Give us a little bit of reality. What's going on in the mortgage industry right now?
Well, you know, a lot of the, I think a lot of people are aware that, you know, the criteria has changed for a lot of the programs. You know, people are going to have to be really, you know, really proactive about trying to increase credit scoring right now. Everything's just tightened up. I mean, for obvious reasons, things have tightened up. One of the good things is on the forbearance side, which affects every lender. Now Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac are now buying these loans, even if they go into forbearance within about a couple weeks. Because a few weeks ago, they said if they purchase a loan from AMCAP, for example, we sell them a loan and it goes it goes into forbearance within 2 weeks, they're going to give it back to us. So that freaked a bunch of people out. Well, now we've got a plan for that. The Fannie Mae, Ginnie, and Freddie Mac are now going to continue to they've got a plan in place basically to where after that forbearance period's over, you know, they're going to continue to make payments to the investors, which frees up money for lenders to continue to make these loans. So that's a great thing right now. And then, you know, on the down payment assistance programs, a lot of those went away temporarily. We now have a couple of them back now, which is great because we have a lot of people that are doing DPA. So that's a good thing. But even with those programs, everything's just tightened up. So it's just the reality where we're going to be for probably a little while. People can't have, you know, there's got to be a lot of not just credit scoring, but job history. We're checking credit and checking jobs up until the day they close now, or the day before. Yeah. So for obvious reasons. So things are still moving. You know,
where are the challenges on credit score? Where are you seeing them? If you were just kind of give, I know it's generalizing. What kind of score you need to be at to really be solid?
I would say solid 640 is solid. Can you get one out of 620? Yeah, we can. But the thing about it, if you're under 640, for us, I know, we can still do these loans. It just costs sometimes. It's going to cost a little bit more if you're at a 610 or a 620 now. We're gonna have to buy that rate down and make it make sense. But I mean, we can still do loans, but solid. Now I'm telling people, hey, get to a 640. But you know, if you're at a 620, and even for the DPA programs, now they're, you know, at 620, you're probably not going to get DPA anymore. Not right now, anyway. So 640 is a good number, but I don't want to discourage anybody. If you're at a 620 and we can probably still make it work. It's just going to be a little bit more expensive right now. So.
What's one final thought you want the group to hear?
Listen, things are still good. We just got to pivot. We got to navigate. And that video was great, Jay. I will listen to it because he's right on. And, you know, I know for me, that first week or two was like, hey, what the hell is going on? But there's so many opportunities. It's just, you got to get your mind out of it. So the positive, there's so many opportunities. There's so much good stuff happens when situations like this happen every time. A lot of businesses get born out of this type of stuff. I think there's just opportunity. There really is, and you know, there'll be a new norm once we get so-called back to normal. But that business is still moving. We're still doing loans. Things are still moving pretty well. So,
okay, all right, fantastic. All right, hang around. All right, let's go to title celebrity.
Hi.
What do you got for us?
Well, hi. Thank you. For me, I think that I agree completely with what Keith Cunningham said. For us in title, it has been a new experience. We're definitely in a new world, uncharted territories for a lot of businesses. And I think that the state of Texas and TDI itself has taken on the aspect of exactly what he said. Business is not going to be as normal. And with that, that's why the Ron elevation has happened, where we have more persons going and doing online notarization versus coming in office. And with Governor Abbott actually removing the requirements for ink notarization, that has changed everything for us. That's really made things a lot more user-friendly. It's made it so that people are able to stay at home, be more comfortable, realizing that it is a pandemic. We do need to make changes to make sure that we can still operate in title. And our underwriters are now accepting all of those remote ink notarizations. So just know that we are comfortable with saying that for sure our major underwriter is comfortable with taking those, and that allows us to continue business, not as normal, but definitely to continue to push business and allow realtors to complete transactions and to get the houses going from, you know, getting contract to actually closing and selling. We understand that there's going to be some things that happen in the meantime between your clients and mortgage that we cannot control, but what we can control is that our underwriters are accepting that two-way interaction for that ink notarization that used to not be acceptable otherwise. So for us, I agree with Keith completely on that video. It's not going to be business as usual. We cannot look at this and think, okay, come May 15th, we're back at it. I don't think the whole world is operating like that. We definitely here at Celebrity Title are not operating like that. We are here to service you. Don't get me wrong. And I think anybody in the industry, including mortgage, including our beautiful Reliant Energy, we're all here to be of service for you, but it's a matter of making sure we are changing things to make sure that we recognize that the pandemic is here and the world is changing. I would love to tell you all that once all this is over, we're going back to business as usual, but I think this is great, honestly. I think that this is a good way to start promoting new technology. I believe that exactly what James said, new businesses are definitely coming out of this. I think this is an opportunity for realtors to really to take this as a chance to become really successful in their industry and be game changers. We're trying to be innovators and game changers here at Celebrity Title, and I do believe that your operation and Keller Williams operation, you guys have always been on the cusp of changing the industry, and this is it. This is the chance for all of us to make these changes. So I'm really excited.
Okay, awesome. All right, let's go over to UE with Reliant. What do you got for us?
Yeah, hey, I miss you guys, okay? Okay, the summer is coming. The electricity will be triple or quadruple because the AC consumes most the electricity. So if you guys, it's better take a look at your bill. If your plan expires, usually after your contract ends, the price will go up, it will gradually go up because after your contract expires, the company don't need to notify you what's the price going to be, okay? Yeah. Just going up until you find out it's too expensive, okay? So the good thing is look at your bill, and then if you're not a Reliant customer, it's a good time to switch to Reliant because for being a realtor, you get really low way, as low as my own way, okay? And then you get 5% off, okay? That will save you a lot of money.
Right here. I got it. I went through it. And yet, here we go, service. Before the sale, use UE as a resource. She's happy to quote everybody. Hey, if you know, just like we tell them, maybe it's an opportunity to refinance. Maybe it's a time to look at your electricity. Maybe it's time to look at your insurance as well. Because I do believe what Keith said is we got to trim some of the fat out of our lives, right? You can say, Chad, more than in your body as well. And yet we got to trim some of that up because we don't know how long this is going to last. It's a theme we keep hearing. You heard it out of Audra as well. She's at a record pace for her year, and she's still saying, we got some things that are coming up. So use opportunities in a partnership with people to look at all those things. And I think electricity is a good way to look at it. And most people overpay for electricity.
Yeah. Yeah, okay. Like last week, there's a few agent sign up with me. Compared to their old bill, I can see they're saving from 100 to 200 or something like that because you guys live in a big house. There's a lot of saving. Plus, you can refer people, client to get the referral fee for the turn electricity. You get $75. It's very easy. Just text me their phone number and name. Then I will get on it. Also, the home security, we offer home security when they bundle with the electricity. And the way is cheaper. They get discount for the home security. You get $250 for that. For the home security, you can even refer yourself. So if you sign up home security from us, you're getting a referral fee for $250.
Okay.
So
you're saying we don't need a gun. We're in Texas. We can just get home security.
Yeah, but now just to get home security because so many people are unemployed, and then if they run out of money, maybe you're the next time.
All right. Yui, thank you so much. All right, let's go back over to Nimesh. What do you got for us in technology?
Awesome, buddy. Before we start that, everybody's making a reference to the video. I actually, something hit hard on that too. I thought the Titanic analogy was absolutely amazing. I mean, it pretty much sums up what you just said a few minutes ago. You cannot sit there and worry about what's happening down the road. You need to really be thinking about what's happening in the moment.
It serves you no purpose to curse the iceberg, the captain, the boat. That's not going to save you.
Or worrying about what you're going to wear at the banquet in New York.
Yeah,
I mean,
right.
You know, you can't. That's the best one. Is you can't worry about when this is going to end or what's going to hey, I can't wait till August. You just you got to shift. You got to pivot right now. And that was awesome. The absolutely most important update that I have to announce right now is that salons and barbers are going to be opening up on Friday. So hopefully this is the last week I have to wear this hat. So I'm looking
Unless you're like Audra and you're a bootlegger and you already snuck in.
Yeah, you could do that. I had the opportunity. I kind of refrained. I was trying to be nice. Anyway, all right, let's hit up the tech quickly. I'm going to run through these because of time. If you guys need any more clarity, just reach out to me at any time, okay? Because we have a few. All right, so the first command update, it's a pretty neat feature. It's going to be called the on-air feature, okay? So you're going to see the words on air periodically at the top of your command. Please hear me now. Do not freak out. It does not mean you are on air, okay? You're not being recorded or nobody's seeing you. It means that KW Connect Live is on air, okay? Since they've been doing that a lot recently to help us through the shift. You'll be able to see a notification now right at the top of command in the center that says on air, and you can click on it and it'll take you to KW Connect's live video, okay? So that's a pretty cool feature. Kelly notifications will be back really soon. A lot of you may have noticed, especially the ones that have been running the Facebook lead ads. The notifications have not been all coming through. They are fixing that, and it is going to be right around the corner where it's all the notifications are going to be completely back. All right. Smart plan libraries, now that the custom smart plans are able to be created, the smart plan library is going to open up to agents. Okay, so you will be able to then subscribe to other agent smart plans. If you've heard me talk about this before in the roadmap, I did say that agents were going to be able to charge for those smart plans. That is still down the road. Right now, any smart plan that you make available to the public for other agents to utilize will be complimentary, completely complimentary. Okay. Trigger events are in the near future. I got a lot of excitement out of this one. So what that means is that right now, smart plans, when they're attached to contacts, you can't have, when you make a custom smart plan, you cannot have a trigger, all right? Meaning a trigger event. So now, pretty soon here, when you get a lead come in through command, you can have a smart plan automatically trigger when that lead comes in, so you don't have to do anything. That smart plan will then start texting and emailing and however you have it created. And then that will be a pretty neat feature for us to stay in contact. Let's see here. The featured listings and listing collections in contacts are going to be available. So when somebody saves a listing now in their, what we call collection, their favorites, you're going to be able to see it in the timeline of their contacts. Okay, so that's big. The export all feature for contacts is also coming very soon. Okay, so if you're going to export your contacts and addresses for labels or for utilizing for any other kind of access, the export all feature is going to be coming here very soon. Okay, team enhancements. Team tags is coming, which is a big deal. Right now with teams, if an agent creates a tag, another agent within the team or the Rainmaker cannot see that same tag. Well, team tags are coming now. So when somebody tags a certain contact as a team tag, then the other team members can also see that tag. So I think that's a big deal, okay? Lead routing updates are coming to kind of fix that up a little bit. It's been a little clunky. They're going to smooth that out, along with email notification on those lead routing. So when a Rainmaker assigns a lead to an agent, they will get an email notification that, hey, you have a new lead presented to you, okay? And also with the lead pool, if there's no lead, a lead pool, okay? So essentially when a lead comes in on a team, it can go into the lead pool or it can be routed to an agent. If that agent does not accept that lead within the deadline, then it will go into the lead pool for any other agent in that team to be able to accept, okay? So those are the two big team ones. Fixes quickly. Twilio replies in the timeline. If somebody replied to your Twilio text, they will show up again in the timeline. That had been an issue, okay? And again, sorting by custom fields had been kind of clunky. For some odd reason, that has been fixed now as well. Okay, so now you can sort by your custom fields in your contact view. Last but not least, Keller Offers integration. I know we have a lot of agents now that are Keller Offers certified. That is going to be fully integrated into the opportunities. So kind of like if you've seen how the porch is in your opportunities, now there will be a box there for Keller Offers, and you will be able to submit for your Keller Offers right from within the opportunity. Okay, so that's going to be pretty neat. And you're going to be able to work on all submissions from there. All right. Anytime you have want any clarity or want any have any questions, you can reach us at 11 o'clock on Mondays for the Tech Mastermind. And again, you can reach me at 6 o'clock for any questions you have on Tuesdays. Okay. Classes at 9:30 on Tuesdays and 9:30 on Thursdays. Of course, the 1 o'clock Tuesday class right now is postponed due to Bold Pivot. Okay. That's it, Chad. That's my update.
All right. Awesome. Good stuff. All right. Bold Pivot. If you signed up for Bold, just know we are assigning you a team. We're meeting with captains. They're going to reach out to you, and we're going to add in a lot of accountability, right? Because we know we need some accountability at this point. So you're going to put you on a team. You're going to have a captain that reaches out to you. And it's still not too late to sign up for Bold. I thought the format that they did yesterday was fantastic based on their circumstances. Here's a cool thing. Over 40,000 real estate professionals, not just KW, jumped on and signed up for an online class. That's never been heard of in our industry and what's going on. That's really, really cool. Next thing is Red Day. It's May 14th. It's coming up. We need you to do one thing. We need you to go out and just not your own, donate goods, right, that we can donate to the East Fort Bend Humane Human Resources, but also send it out to your neighbors. This is an easy thing. Drop a bag or box off, leave it at the front desk. You'll pick it up, or they can just deliver it to the office as well. So brand that and label that out as well. You know, I hope you understand opportunity is out there. Last week in our area, this is not HAR, I'm talking our area, there was 289 properties that went under contract, and there was 236 sold. So let's go out and get it, right? Stop cursing the storm, right? Yelling at the wind or the iceberg. It doesn't serve us any well. And like Audra said, stay out of judgment. We're going to have some people who want to shelter in place for the next 6 months because they're afraid they're going to get it, and they don't even want to go out of their home. And then we have other people who think this is a hoax, and they're running around and just treating it. And yet we got to relate to both as agents and say, and yet how can I help serve you? And what could I do to make your life better? If it's from electricity, it's from mortgage, it's from title, whatever we can to help people. Let's get in here and make sure you surround yourself with A players, right? If you don't have A players, you're going to have problems. And if you're 100% A players are on your team, that includes your partners that you do business with, how many problems would go away? All right, it's always a privilege to serve you guys. Thank you so much for jumping on the call. Hope you have a great day and look forward to serving you later. And let me know if there's anything I can do to help you. Take care. Thanks, guys.